Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Connecting with Jennifer Filzen. Today I have with me a very special guest, Lynz Floren. Welcome, Lynz.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Woo! I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so everyone who's watching, you've got to know that Pablo Gonzalez is like the super connector, right? If you know Pablo, you're going to get connected with somebody. And I discovered Lynz through our relationship flywheel boot camp. So it is a boot camp for podcasters to learn how to be even better podcasters, modeling what Pablo and Be the Stage have exercised over their 2 years of being in existence. And whew, that's a lot of information, isn't it, Lynz?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Golden stuff right there.
Yeah. It was 4 weeks of, it could have been
Intense.
12, could
Oh,
have
yeah.
been 24, maybe even. There's a lot to unpack.
Oh, yeah, a lot to unpack. And you're absolutely right. 4 weeks of intense awesomeness, but you're right. It could definitely be extended through a year if you wish.
hmm
But let's talk about you and your podcasting. I mean, you are such a renaissance man. I mean, you have everything going on. So if you don't mind, just kind of tell everybody who you are, where you are, and what it is that you do in the world.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm the GM and executive producer for Growth Network Podcasts. We started in 2020, and it was definitely, I think, sort of accelerated by the pandemic response to everything. And I started it with two co-founders, and it was a real kind of meeting of the minds, and they sort of trusted me to be the boots on the ground person to kind of run the business. And so I work with business clients, and I just signed a scripted thing to do like an actual scripted show starting soon. So cool project starting out. And I'm also a musician. And when I started a podcast a while back called LA Makers Podcast, and it was kind of a play on the LA Lakers. But it was, the people who make things here in Los Angeles, where I live. And there was, my girlfriend had a shop called the LA County Store, and everything was made in Los Angeles County. And so it was a great way to highlight people who were making things in that area. I composed a theme song. I did all the interviews, and I edited and I finished, and then I was just like completely out of steam by the time I was done with an episode and had to start another one, and I hadn't even promoted it. And so, even though I was sort of my girlfriend was starting to learn some of the pieces, it just realized like this needs to be a team effort, and so that really got me moving towards creating this company and to be able to use kind of the music stuff that I know how to do, and also the podcast editing and all of that, kind of pull it into one. Uh, so that's pretty much, you know, the main of it. You'll find that I'm spinning plenty of other plates. There's a lot of other balls in the air and other things that I'm starting to create or have been working on that at some point will mature, hopefully, and be able to be shown to the public.
Very good. Well, I have discovered over the years that I too am a tinkerer of many things and many projects because I get bored easily. So, and also too, we're creatives, right? So whether it be music or marketing or podcasting, it's like, oh, there's an idea, let's run with it. And I was just talking with a real estate agent just before this interview, and she wants to really stand out in the real estate market. And I was like, well, podcasting is a great way to do it. But I got to warn you, it's a lot of work. And she's like, really? How much work? I'm like, a lot of work.
It's a whole nother job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah. It's not a one and done.
hmm
It's consistent persistence. Yeah, you're right. It's a whole other job. And so she's enthusiastic. I'm like, I think I'll refer you to this boot camp.
I mean, I think, one of the things I've really found with the clients I work with is that there's really this sort of cascading awareness of learning about it. Is when you first learn about it, you're like, oh, there are these things called podcasts. And then you're like, oh, who makes those? Oh, I guess I could make one of those. Oh, what would I want to talk about? I would want to talk about this. Oh, how would I record it? And you can't have all those thoughts at once. And you have to have them in a sequence. And
Yes.
and I think everyone sort of has to kind of walk a similar path to get to the point of, oh God, no, or yes, that sounds fun, and I need some people to help me. And I think at one point you're in or out, on that premise.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I mean, admittedly, at Rockstar Marketing, we have a team. So when we venture off to do podcasts for myself or for our clients, then yeah, I can say, hey, could you please do this? Could you please do that? But you're right. If I had to do all of that, I wouldn't have time for my real
Hmm.
job. Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. A lot of the people we talk to are people who have started something, and they were like, okay, and now I need to find somebody to help me because this is too much, so
Great, for
happens a lot.
sure. So now in the podcasting world though, and just well in your even in your own life, you got everyone's got some superpowers, right?
Hmm.
What are some of your superpowers?
I am a, um, I am similar to like you said about Pablo, I am a super connector. I'm a hyper collaborator, and which is like I enroll people in my vision very well, and I find a way to get them involved, or I find the right person. If I have all these plates spinning, the right person is going to fit one of these. I know that I can only do so much alone, and I don't like doing stuff alone is boring. And so to me, I want to find collaborators for everything and as many of them as is necessary to make it grow, and I don't want to be stingy about my part in anything. And I want it to be very free flowing and giving. Cause like the, I don't have an unlimited well, but I have been thus far generating a lot of creative output. I don't see that ending. And so I want to share it. I want it to be a part of people's lives and I want it to be a part of people's projects. So I think the superpower is born from my need to find that connection, but then
Nice.
I really find it, and I can make deep personal friendships through a screen, with the right intention. You can connect. You can really connect deeply, in through this way as well as through anything in person. So yeah, I would say
That's a
that's
lot
it.
to unpack. And let's look at that because that's kind of a neat thing. In the last couple of weeks, I don't know if it's because we're nearing the second anniversary of being in a pandemic. I don't know if it's because of the age group that I tend to hang out with. I'm 51, and a lot of my friends and clients are in their 50s and 60s and 70s. And especially my friends in their 50s, there is this huge discussion about reprioritizing what's important to them and their relationships and where they are in their careers. There have been some that just a couple of years ago, they were like, yes, I'm going to do this for another 10 years. Ah, go, go, go. And now they're like, I am so done. I am so done. I'm trying to figure out a way to retire. And I don't know about you, Lynz, but like, I want to retire in the fact that I don't have to stress out about money, but I don't want to retire and not be active and not create. Because even
Yeah.
in my retirement, I fully expect that the font of creativity will still be bubbling and percolating and like, woo, woo, But again, I'm not there yet, right? Maybe I'm going to reach a point where I'm like, I am so done, you know. But it's just fascinating, right? And this pandemic has truly changed us on so many levels. Dare I even say a cellular level, to where we are just, whew, I need to really figure out what it is that I want, because I think this has been a microscope into seeing that life is truly precious and that we need to live our best lives, whatever that looks like, whether that be collaborating, deeper connections. And so, where I'm going with this, because you brought it up, you said deeper connections. And yes, I am done with the surface conversations. How you doing? Oh, I'm good. Let's talk about the weather. Like, I
Hmm.
want to go deep, and I want to get to know someone very well. So then that way I can celebrate who they are and then help them in whatever I have to do to serve, whether that be putting them in touch with somebody else that can help them reach their vision or whatever, right? And isn't it much more fulfilling when you can go deep quickly?
Yeah, I think it's I don't know. I mean, this might be, I lost my older brother when I was a teenager. He passed away, and I, at his funeral was one of the most powerful connecting moments for me. A lot of it, a lot of people came to it. There were a lot of people there, and it was an interesting. It really illuminated for me that it is in the hardest times that we really connect with each other, and we need each other. We sort of accept that we need help. We accept that we can't do it alone. And there's really a sense of communal responsibility on some level. And so I think the pandemic kind of gave us this grief, gave us something to grieve together.
Mm, mm,
And we can use it to connect or we can use it to withdraw. And I think that it's very understandable. I personally withdraw all the time to to be able to collect myself and find my center,
mm.
But it's also, this is a chance that you can really talk when you ask, hey, how's it going? You're kind of 50-50. You might get a real answer,
Yeah.
right? Like you might get someone saying, oh, I'm actually having a horrible day and this happened to me. You might actually get these real feelings that we're all programmed to skip,
Mm,
And so
mm.
um, I'm I don't know, I'm hardwired to find the little nuggets, like the little silver linings. But that's definitely one of them for me, is that when things are hard, we relate for real.
I love it. I love it. So let's go into that a little deeper. We all have a why. Um, why do you do what you do? What is your why in this current iteration of your life?
Um,
Does it stem from your brother's death, or
I
is it
mean,
something else?
I think that it relates to some of that. I think that I have a desire to connect and feel, that I want to be in relationship with people. I want to be in, um, I want to be, yeah, in people's lives. And I've always gotten the sense that anytime I felt powerless, anytime that I wanted to make a change and felt like I couldn't, I always saw that if I had built something bigger than myself, I would be able to enact that change. Or if
Mm,
I was connected to something bigger than myself. And so I think a lot of what I do is an attempt to build some architecture from which I can stand up to something or stand behind something, be able to be in my value, represent my values through action with the weight of this thing behind me and the people that I've brought together in doing so. Um, as a real hippy dippy answer, I don't know.
no, 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 no. I
You know,
love it. I love it. It's so, you really, first off, you have such a beautiful voice. Oh my goodness. And I've heard you sing too. So, I know that that voice carries you through your podcasting and it carries you through your music. And you have such a beautiful way with words that it's not hippy dippy at all. It's very deep, and it's just another layer of what we've been talking about this whole time. So then let's take it a different approach. There are people that we serve in our lives, right? It can be family, it can be friends, it can be business, it can be our community. If you look at all of those spheres of influence in your life, who is it that you're serving, and what are you doing for them?
Um, I think, who is it that I'm serving?
Well, actually, let me throw you a softball, and then we can go deeper. When you're thinking of your business,
Hmm.
because sometimes I'm the same way. I focus on my business, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I serve my family as well, and I
So
serve
many,
my
yeah, yeah.
friends.
It's like
Right?
that's a
Which one
good.
do I choose?
That's a
I don't
helpful
understand.
layer, contextual piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So for my business, um, I would say that we're working with organizations that are trying to that have a larger vision they're trying to achieve,
Mhm.
and that they're the sort of tagline we have is, full service podcast solution for organizations that care.
Mhm.
And so it is really, I think, organizations that want to put action behind their values to demonstrate how they care and to hopefully galvanize some listeners around that particular way that they want to show that. And so we do work with a couple educational institutions. They're trying to connect their thought work, like the academic work, with, real things, uh, people in the world. And so I found that to be a much more interesting place to be than the sort of. Uh, I think that there's like the self starter, the people like yourself who are like, hey, I'm interested in this, and I can kind of check all the boxes in a light sort of way and make a thing that works for what I'm creating, And then there are the companies that want to create a vehicle for their brand,
Yes.
and that's the stuff where it's like that gets really it's really excited. And
Yeah.
especially if they're willing to be creative about how they do that, and maybe there's multiple different things and aimed in specific directions, and you make a little 5-minute spin-off that's made for people to um, consume kind of the cotton candy version of your podcast. Um, and so getting inventive about attracting attention with these all these audio mediums.
Mhm.
Um, and so the helping clients who know how to do that in the other ways, right? Like they've been doing blogs for years. They know how to make a YouTube channel. They know how to do these other things, but they also want to do a podcast at that same level. That's generally the folks that we are
Mhm.
working with.
Very cool. Very cool. So then, what advice do you have for people who want to get into this space that you've so masterfully been living in for a while?
In getting into it, and from like from a which angle?
Whichever
The
you want,
angle,
honey. There are
right?
no wrong angles.
No wrong angles. Well, I think that content is such an interesting field right now, and I
Yeah,
think there's kind of no wrong way to go. And I
right.
think the really important part is checking in with yourself about your values and what it is you want to transmit. I
Mhm.
think in no matter where how you're trying to leverage one of these types of projects, the more work you do up front about being clear on who you are and who you want to talk to, the less friction there will be when you're a little bit further down the road. And so um, I think, I think these kind of things are just really good partnership vehicles, that to work, find someone you resonate with, vibe off of each other, get energy off of each other to kind of carry the thing forward. I think that always um, it will rise. Not that there aren't, and sometimes the lesson is the how to not work with somebody, and there's some friction in a collaboration, but I think there's a lot of value in that too.
Yeah,
And so just finding ways to collaborate with people to create things in content, in these content, uh, whether it's podcasts or a TikTok video or a YouTube channel,
sure.
doing it
Well,
with people.
here's a question for you: scripted versus unscripted. What are your thoughts?
I think it comes down to the audience.
Mm.
So there's, like mainstream entertainment is, I think the scripted stuff wins probably. Um, but it really, I mean, I think that there are a lot of people who believe that like podcasts or that thing, it should be people winging it, and I firmly believe that the thing I would take away is what stand-up comedians do is they spend a really long time making their practice set look like it's natural. And so I think that's the magic sauce, is that everyone wants to think it happened spur of the moment, but you have to be so well rehearsed that you're bringing your A game in that way. And I think
Mm, beautiful.
um,
You're
that's
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's like when you go to a party and you're meeting people. And if you're a singer, people will say, "Sing something for me." It's like, you know, like the brain short circuits. Like, I've got 100 songs. What do you? And then like,
right.
how many of them could be performed a cappella very well? Like, there's like a whole thing.
It's like, yeah,
So
okay, lawyer, practice law for me.
yeah,
Like,
right.
come
Okay,
on.
mechanic. Here's a car. Like, right. And then I've actually been to a party, and one of the guys is a comedian, and they're like, "Okay, be funny." And he's like, "Oh God," like, start with a bunch of your mother jokes, but like,
Mhm.
it's just like, you have to be practiced now because you have such a beautiful way with words, because you have obviously practiced your craft. How did you get started? Did you do something like Toastmasters? Did you like just start going, and have you always just been a writer? Like, what is your secret sauce? How do people become more like Lynz Floren?
Um, it's like, I don't think you could ever choose. I don't think any of the junction points you'd choose the way I went. But I mean, I think at a young age, um, one, I speak more than one language. I do think that knowing multiple languages just makes you a better talker, or it gives you a way to talk about things that is unique, because you can sort of I can use kind of a Spanish way of thinking, or I accidentally, I think, speak backwards in English because there's this other language rattling around. Um, I also did theater growing up. I think being on stage in any capacity is great practice for being on stage in any other capacity. Um, Everyone, people talk about niching down, and I think that the way to be more like me is to avoid that like the plague, um, because it doesn't bring me joy to cut myself off from the things I can do because of how people will perceive me. And that has meant that I did not gain much attention in any one direction at a time,
And
and
that's okay.
here I am now with multiple skill sets that are at a level that are useful to people, and it's working
Yes.
out fine. So if you live long enough to make it here, I recommend that, um, the, and when you see a hole in your skill set, be curious about that. You don't have to solve it if it's like right then and there, but it's okay to see that, I want to improve in this area. Because I actually did stand up comedy for 2 years because my, and this, I mean, you want to have a good way with words, spend 5 minutes on stage having to talk your way out of things on stage in front of strangers. That'll do it to you. But
Right.
I knew that as a musician, I was not entertaining between the songs, and I understood that I really wanted to bring more entertainment, and
Mm.
um, that you can. And I ultimately learned I didn't want to be a musical comedian. It's just so much pressure. I only wrote one funny song, and the rest were like mildly clever at best. Um, and so, but it is helpful to be a funny musician, right?
I gotta say, you're triggering some beautiful things and memories. Jim Stafford, have you ever heard of him?
No.
Jim Stafford was a musical comedian in the 70s, 80s, and he had a song called Cow Patty. Yippee Cow Patty.
Mm.
Yippee-ki-yay, cow patty. She rode into town to find the man that killed her daddy. And this song is hilarious because you find out that, you know, 40 shots rang out, 40 people fell. Patty and the killer missed each other, but they shot the town to hell. Yeah, I mean, they were just like, when my father was passing away, we did his playlist so he could listen to his favorite songs in hospice, and so that song made us all
Oh,
giggle. So yes, please write another clever and funny song for me.
yeah,
Just the request.
yeah. The only one oh, it was a song about a booty call, and it still cracks me up. Honestly, it's like 2.5 minutes of gold. Um, it's a little, you know, as I get older, it gets less cool. It's like it worked when I was a younger man, and now it's kind of creepy. So you know,
That's
um,
hilarious. Well, you can always preface it. Yes, I wrote this when I was 10.
yeah, exactly. A much younger man,
I didn't know what I didn't know.
much less creepy.
Forgive me. Don't throw me in jail. That's funny. Oh my God. Uh, so, where do you see your career going in the next 5 years? Just out of
Mm,
curiosity, because I'm so fascinated by you. You're such a man of many skill sets.
well, I think one of the things I'm passionate about, my stepmom was a singer named Debbie Campbell who toured the country in the 60s in a rock band that was like, you know, Fort Worth's answer to the Beatles. You know,
Nice.
all girl rock band, 1966. Like, it's really, really ahead of her time. Anyway, she passed away in 2004, like right before the internet would have captured her existence, right?
Ah,
Like,
wow.
there's no YouTube, there's no Facebook, Wikipedia. She doesn't even have a link of her own. So over the past couple of years, I've been spending like mostly weekends just kind of going down a rabbit hole of like, okay, she was in bands in the 70s, and did she got written about in Billboard, and just finding all the digital clues. And so my next project is a podcast about her, and then hopefully a documentary. Um,
Oh, I love that.
and it's really exciting and alive. I mean, I've been reached out to by multiple people who knew her like very recently, who also wanted to pay tribute to her in some way. And it's just kind of like, oh, this one is there's something really going on here. And then I get to really move into the genre that I want to be in podcasts for, which is music. I think
Nice.
the rest of it I do just because I have the skills and I want to help businesses succeed, and all that is very important. But if I had my way, and money and time were no objects, it would be music podcasts all day, every day. And
Oh,
so
that's.
that's probably the direction I'm headed in the next 5 years.
Oh yeah, do it, do it. I'll be listening. That's awesome. Yeah, yeah. Music is such an important piece of humanity, and animals too. It's really kind of cool how whales and bird song, like there are a lot of similar songs when you look at structure, and it, spiritually, music will take you to a different level, a different plane, a meditation. I mean, okay, so I've created my two albums and I've written my music. I'm not a very good musician. In fact, I kind of suck, but I had a good time doing it. And I have this one song, Sirena, which is essentially it's a funeral song. When I am gone, I will still be with you. If you want to spend time with me, come to the sea. So whenever I'm out kayaking, whenever I'm out in the water, I just sing this little song. It's just my little tribute to all the people who love the water and Mother Nature, and being out there, and we're all connected through water. So anyway, I get out and I paddle and I sing my little Sirena song, and I'm singing to the sea lions and the harbor seals and the otters. But what's kind of cute is since I've been doing this like every weekend, now they hear me come, they all look up. It's like, oh, look, the mermaid's here. And they don't even flinch. They're just like, oh, she's here to sing to us. It's really kind of silly. It's like, I'd rather sing to animals than to people because believe it or not, I get stage fright. But I'm so happy to sing to the animals. Silly
Yeah.
stuff, right? But music is just a beautiful thing. When Daddy was in hospice, he had Lewy body dementia and he couldn't really talk. He couldn't really do things that he wanted to. He was having a hard time communicating, but I put that Spotify playlist on and I'd push him around and he'd sing, and it was just beautiful. So, yes, please do what you want to do because there's definitely going to be an audience for that. And it'll fill your soul as well,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah, I'm really excited. I think it'll be fun to share. It'll be like multiple spinning plates, kind of getting it to share out all at once when that gets started.
Well, it sounds like collaboration comes to you naturally because your mom obviously was a collaborator. I mean, you don't go around the country doing that on your own. That's a team effort for
Yeah,
sure.
she had some. Yeah, she really had the ability to. She had it, man. I think that's the craziest thing is. Um, so like I lived in California with my mom, and then my dad and my stepmom lived in Tulsa, and so like we would come out a couple 2 times a year, and then I would like I just knew her as Debbie, and then like we'd go to one of her shows or like the Blues Fest or something where she was on stage, and she was just on and super friendly, didn't resent people, like really like enjoyed people, and that's like so rare. Anyway,
Right?
can't wait. I'll be talking about her ad nauseum for hours of podcasts, I'm sure.
Oh, how fun. Absolutely fun. And I apologize. I think I called her your mom, stepmom, but
It's all right.
mom, mom,
Yeah.
mom. Yeah.
No, no. I mean, that's what's funny is, and I have a quick story about that was um, at her memorial service, um, I had dozens of people come up and be like, "Oh, are you Debbie's son? Are you Debbie's son? Are you Debbie's son?" And it's weird to be in that position because that tells me how much I meant to her, right? But there's still this like, but yeah, yeah, yes, but,
You
and
want to
my dad was just
qualify it.
like, you don't have to correct anybody. Let them think what they want. And it's like that was actually a really useful moment in general, which is like, you don't have to correct anybody. Like, let them believe what they want, let them hear what they wanted to hear, let them be inspired by what inspired them, and be graceful in those sorts of things. So anyway, makes
That's
for
so
a
sweet.
yeah.
Love it. Oh, I love it. Thank you for bringing your stepmom and my daddy to life
Yeah.
in this conversation. That's very sweet. So when people want to follow you, because obviously you have so much going on, how do they find you? So I'm going to take
Yeah,
notes. I'm going to take notes while
absolutely.
you're saying it because I always like to write it down while everyone else is writing it down, and then we put it, of course, in the show notes. But
Nice. Yeah.
so, do you have a website?
I do. The website is growthnetworkpodcasts.com. And we're on social media either as it's Growth Network Podcasts, but then on Twitter and Instagram, it's GNP Shows because the character, anyway, long story short, no one cares. But it's a little bit different. We'll link it. And then me, I'm at Lynz Floren, LynzFloren on everything. And the place where I'm having the most fun is on TikTok these days. So
Oh,
if you
yeah?
want
Tell
to
me what you're
just,
doing on TikTok. Yeah.
TikTok is a really fascinating place. I think once you get past the sort of the first layer of surface people dancing at you, there's sort of like you can find your people in your niche. I think there are all these amazing musicians that I've been able to meet and connect with, and we all want to see each other succeed, And then I find there's like, oh, here's another guy my age who also kind of probably went to the Lilith Fair. Like, oh, we might get along. And so you kind of find your folks and you get to, so, and I don't have any other outlet for performing. I mean, a show like this can kind of give you that sense of like, oh, I was on stage. I kind of got to do that. but I think I get to do it a couple times a day on TikTok, where I'll either record myself playing guitar or getting to kind of talk or do something. And so I don't know. I find it to be a fascinating ecosystem where I learn a lot and
Oh
I
yeah.
met a lot of new people, and um, the next goal is actually want to start doing episode recaps on our Growth Network podcast TikTok, where it's like I recap it with my face and my voice, like so that it in the TikTok style. And so like I realized that I just need to make myself do that. And I know what I need to do, and I know that I have a sort of ever increasing amount of content to do that with, and that
Mm.
it will probably land. But I just sort of need to
Just get her
make
done.
get it
Yeah.
done. Yes,
Yeah.
make myself do it.
Yeah, for sure. And if somebody wanted to email you, or do you just want them to visit your website so you can capture their information as they come in, or do you want to just,
Absolutely. Let's do the website thing. Yeah.
okay, all righty, fantastic. Well, I tell you what, I love going deep with you. This is so much fun, right?
Yeah, this is great.
Love it. And everybody, thank you so much for watching me and Lynz connect and have a good time. I hope that you will follow him as well. Clearly, Lynz Floren. Oh yeah, tell them why your name is Lynz,
Oh
because I
yeah.
love
So
I love that story about your name.
my parents named me Lindsay after after Lindsey Buckingham from Fleetwood Mac. And yeah, so they're my parents are music fans through and through, and they gave me that. I'm glad to have it.
Right? But then you shortened it to Lynz, which is like so awesome. And so yeah, like your name is so incredible. It's like, ah, of course I know Lynz. And if I recall, you're like 6'5" as well. So you
I'm
are,
6'6". Yeah, no, I'm a
there you
I'm a
go.
unique individual.
I didn't mean to take away an inch from you, but
No,
like,
it's fine. I kind
yeah.
of I'd almost give that one back, to be honest. It's like too much, too much. Um, so
And you're playing guitar primarily, right?
yeah, that's my main thing. But I mean, I studied electronic music in college, so I do also like use the bleeps and bloops and do all the recording stuff. So it's guitar and then some. But yeah.
I love it. I love it. Such a Renaissance man. All right. Thank you so much, Lynz.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much. It
everybody,
was a
for
pleasure.
watching. Yes, so much fun. And please do go check him out. I hope everyone has a beautiful day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.